I love working with a team towards a common goal.
For the camaraderie.
Camaraderie and playing with my teammates.
I play for my team.
Teamwork and the connections that I can build on and off field.
For the community and the exercise.
Because of the community and the competition.
I like playing Ultimate Frisbee for the competition.
I play for the competition and the fun.
For fun.
Because fun.
I love getting to work hard.
You get out of it what you put into it.
Leave everything out here.
Every time I step on the field, I want to be a better player.
You know, give something people to talk about.
Be happy but never satisfied.
To step away from real life and focus on Frisbee.
I play because I love Ultimate.
Find your drive.
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 Welcome to the Canadian 4-on-4 Nationals here in Gloucester, Ontario. We are on day 2 of Nationals, and it's a big semifinal that we have going on. We're going to start with our land acknowledgement. So Ottawa is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation. Sponsors, we also would like to acknowledge Be Ultimate, one of our leading sponsors, as well as Discraft, Chocolat Favori Orléans, as well as Ottawa Tourism. And just to give a recap here, the games are 50 minutes long. We have a hard cap, so a whistle will go off at halftime as well as at the end. The half is 24 minutes long. So here we're starting at 12:30. We're going to see that at 12:54. And we have 2 opposing teams here. We have Red from Halifax, and we have Breakfast Club from Ottawa. I am your host, Kimberly Morin-Coulombe, alongside
Chantal Dussault. So welcome everyone. And as Kim was saying, red is on our left and they are dressed in red, whereas Breakfast Club on our right-hand side are dressed in white. And this is the senior semifinals. And so these teams are fighting to know if they're going to go to the final match, to get to the match that's going to get to number 1 or number 2. So
big game
ahead.
We saw here Breakfast Club coming out of quarters, winning on a universe point line against Saskatchewan. And so they come here pumped up, and we have Halifax and Red that played against Bad Temperament. Won that game in quarters. So we see here Red Circus setting up in the middle of the field. We have McKenna with the disc in his hands.
One of the things I love about this match, Kim, is that Halifax was ranked 11th coming into this tournament. They were. So Red from Halifax ranked 11th. So they're a bit of the underdog in Red. And Breakfast Club was ranked 2nd.
That's impressive. We have Brown here with the disc. She recenters to McKenna in the middle of the field. All the way to Trainer. Trainer with a nice flick around. She gets that to Smith. Smith back to Brown. Brown looking for a backhand upfield. She gets Smith on the line. Back to Brown. Brown looking for a backhand. She gets a nice backhand to Trainer. Nice open side under. And a miscue here from Red Circus.
You can see the pace is pretty calm considering this is a semifinals. You can see the experience from these players. You can see that they're using the entire width of the field and they're cutting very strategically. Let's see how our white club, Breakfast Club, does.
A chance for a break here for Breakfast Club. We have Jacques getting it around to Ellis. Ellis looking for a flick. Flick back to Jacques. Open side under. Ellis around backhand to Polowick. Polowick potentially looking for that backhand to Jacques, but opts against it, but goes for that score. Ooh, hitting the sign.
And twinkle toes was attempted. I am not certain that the toes were inside the end zone during the catch. And as we know, in order for it to be a goal, the first point of contact has to be within the end zone. We saw the 2 arms being lifted, which means this was the first point.
And that's a point for Polowick. So a lot of the women here on Breakfast Club you're going to see originating out of the, and I am not biased when I say this, the stellar Masters women's team, Stello, out of Ottawa. Not that I played with them for years, but there's a lot of experience here. We see Lauren Brown as well on the opposing team. She also plays for Stello, so a lot of Stello players on the field. Red Circus with the disc on the line. Mensa trying to get that big layout D, but he gets called on a D by Darling. And this, folks at home, you will know that this is part of the spirit of the game. And so when there are calls like this, we can see that they're having a very composed discussion. This is something we love to see. When there are calls, talk it out, try and voice your opinion, voice what you felt happened. But we see that there's some smooth conversation.
And he goes back to thrower.
So it's a foul contested on the part of Mensa. So the disc goes back to Red. Ellis on the mark here. Around. Turner throws to Darling. Darling looking for a backhand. He gets that to Ferrero Wong. To Graves. To Ferrero Wong. To Graves in the middle of the field looking for that break, flick around, and she gets it done. Here to Smith, I believe.
That was to Turner, the captain, number 23
There you
for
go, I
Red.
stand corrected.
Yes, one of the things that was really interesting with that play from Red was that they started with this vertical diagonal offense stack, which created some room, but then they really went into more of a free flow, taking what the defense is giving them. And one of the things the defense was giving them was that Turner is so tall that they could put up that long throw in the end zone.
I love this matchup. Jessie Brown on a Mel Dunbar. Mel Dunbar, for those of you who know her, she is a stellar player out of Ottawa. She played on the women's senior team in Australia last summer. And Jessie Brown, also quite a stellar player. She played on the Masters women's team that played in California last year. One of the center pieces of the O-line. And so I want to see this matchup, and I love to see it, but a great long shot straight to Dunbar, and a point for Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club up 2-1. McKenna with the disc in their hands. And we're looking for a quick backhand. And that's completed to Hayden. Hayden looking to McKenna. McKenna with the scuba to Trainer. Trainer looks to give it back to McKenna. To Darling. Darling with the scuba. And that is completed to Trainer. I saw here the Breakfast Club tried to get involved, but unsuccessful.
Oh, they're never very far behind. One of the beautiful things about that point was the variety of throws. We saw a few hammers, and the last point was a scuba throw. And that's what you'll see in these indoor 4-against-4 matches, is really that having that variety of throws for the throwers makes a really big difference if you can hit your target anywhere and with any sort of aspect of your arm moving, because the field is wide open, really.
We see here an ISO in the middle of the field, Andy Corey, who's celebrating his 40th birthday today. Big day for him.
Happy birthday, Corey.
He's working hard. Disc is in Lukenda's hands. Dump over to Dunbar, who gets a big hammer out. Back to Kiki, that's unsuccessful. She's showing us her guns. Don't disrespect Mel Dunbar. I know not to do that.
So that throw was so strong that it went over the net, and so we're just getting that back in the field.
And it's important to have these throws sometimes, even if they're not completed, so that defense really respects your ins, but also your long shots. And so they're not always just going to defend you on the inside. Graves with the disc in her hands for Red. To Turner, turning it back to Graves. Graves getting a nice around flick here to Ferrero Wong. To Workman. Workman looking upfield for Graves. Nice shot around by Graves here. Ferrero Wong looking for something in the end zone. Going to dump it back to her captain Turner. Turner motioning up to Workman to get it in the end zone.
That was pretty impressive. Pretty impressive communication from Turner, telling the person, hey, that's where I'm going to be throwing it. You better be there.
Pointing and the execution is cocky, and I love it.
That was pretty good. And one of the things I wanted to say about Red was just the patience that they are exhibiting when they have the disc close to the end zone. You can see that sometimes they really would like to throw that in, but they're making the calculated decision not to punch it in.
Exactly. We have Ellis here with the disc for Breakfast Club to Jacques. Jacques gets a quick flick around back to Ellis. Ellis looking off ring. A lot of cuts on the open side here. Breakfast Club looking to get ISO in the open lane. Ellis on a low catch. Around to Polowick. Ring once again. Whoa, trying to get that, Ellis tried to get that break around, unsuccessful, so the disc is in Red's hands. Smith to Hayden. Kelsey Hayden looking for something dumped to Brown. Brown looking for that flick around. She opts against it, getting that quick backhand. Quick disc right back in our hands. Backhand to Smith. Smith on the end zone door to Hayden. And that's a break, ladies and gentlemen. We are 4-2 for Red.
So a bit of an upset so far, because we could expect Red to be trailing behind, considering Breakfast Club was ranked higher. Breakfast Club plays together for a long time, whereas Red, they're a team of, you know, people who've played together in league, but are not as close as Breakfast Club. There's a few things I think that explain Red's success. One of the things, and I'm looking forward to seeing if it's continuing, is their use of the space on the field. So let's see how that continues.
Red showing up March Madness time. They're bringing the heat. So we have Ellis trying to punch it into Mensa, and that is completed. Mensa with the toes. We love to see it. Mensa known for his athleticism here.
So Breakfast Club, a team that's played together for a long time. They say they hang out. They say their kids are friends.
Yeah, they love to tell us a lot before we started the game how friends they were. We're all very close.
But I have noticed that one of the things that Breakfast Club does well is that they will initiate that throw just as their cutter is planting their turning foot, which is something that we see with more experienced teams, and it gives them an edge.
Yes. So we see here kind of a
stack off to the side.
Arto, we call it in French. Disc to McKenna here. Looked over Trainer. He's going to get that to Darling. Darling looks off and up the line McKenna to get it to Brown. There's a pick call in the middle of the field. Once again here with the Dunbar-Brown matchup. We love to see it.
So a pick for anyone watching is when there's an obstruction of the path in which we're running, and that's not allowed. No obstructions allowed. So then we just go back to where we were. Everyone goes back to where they were on the field. The disc comes back to the count that it was at, and here we go.
Darling, flick around to Brown. Brown's looking upfield, gets it back to McKenna. McKenna to Trainer on the line. Looking for that quick backhand, nobody's there. Darling has the disc. Getting some good coverage there by Mel Dunbar, but Darling punches it in on a scuba to Trainer.
That was a good matchup in the end zone. Lots of height happening and the trust happening in that very nice hammer throw into the end zone. And McKenna did a great job. And not only did she do a great job at that catch, but earlier she had an opportunity to do a backhand throw into the end zone and held back her throw. And I think that's where some of the wisdom and some of the experience is really showing in this seniors team that's in the semifinals.
An ISO here from Jacques, who is no surprise, gets open on an in-cut. It's her professional job. We have Ellis around on a backhand. She also is a very skilled policy analyst, but we love to know her for her in-cuts. Ellis with the disc here in the middle of the field.
There's a pick called.
And we get a backhand here from Ellis. Looking for Jacques. Jacques with a flick to Ellis. Ellis trying to see what's going on upfield. Back to Jacques. He's getting involved. Jacques with a backhand dump over to Ellis.
One of the things that Red is doing is that they're applying sort of a front-ish flick force.
Graves here tight on Polowick. That is quite the tall defender. Whew. There's a call here going on in the field. May have been a pick. I'm not sure. Smith on the mark here against Ring. Ring's going to tap it in. And here we go with the flick force. Ellis tries for the up the line, and he gets it in to the end zone. Breakfast Club.
Great concentration. He knew he had a defender on his back, and yet really read that and caught it, secured it, made sure the toes were in. So a really great skill from Breakfast Club on that. And
catch. Them being friends, things like that. When you try and up the line, even if it's in a tight zone, they know how to play with each other. They know what they want, what they're able to throw. And so these are things that you're going to see. Same thing with Red. Like, these are both teams that are very friendly. They know how to play with each other. They know what they like. So we see Trainer here trying to get open in the middle of the field. Disc to Darling. Darling gets it back to McKenna, who's in their end zone. Trainer with a nice open cut. Trainer looks off the backhand.
There's a call.
There's a travel call here. Ellis saying the pivot foot of Trainer is not staying stationary.
Unstationary pivot foot.
Stationary pivot.
Stop it.
Ellis really looking to stop that around backhand, or flick actually. McKenna, with a big Scoober. And this is the second point for a Scoober score with Trainer.
Yes, I think I might have called her something else before, but that was Trainer, number 16 from Red Team. Doing a great job being in the end zone, being in the right location at the right time, because that's the other thing with this team. They know about the timing of the cuts. And so if you cut too soon, your defender's on you and that cut is burnt. But the timing of these cuts is just perfect on the Red Team. They make it look easy.
And something I'd have to comment on this is Breakfast Club is going to have to either stay close on the break side, because a lot of these break throws are coming out.
You're okay.
Dunbar with the disc here in the end zone to Lukenda. Lukenda back to Hogel. There's a call in the middle of the field. Pick on Corey, I believe. Hogel, very confident thrower here. Gets it to Dunbar. Dunbar.
Ferrero had a hand on that.
This Ferrero-Lukenda matchup is funny. They're not in the same height class, I'll tell that.
No, but Ferrero Wong had a hand on it, and as we know, the offensive player gets to keep the disc if they both caught it at the same time.
Lukenda on the doorstep of the end zone here. Hogel looking for a super dump behind to Corey.
Breakfast Club yelling about a height mismatch in the end zone. Oh.
And I respect that no call. These are people, both players that know how to play hard. They play intense, but they know when a foul is justified. And Brown rushes to the end zone. She's going to attempt that. We have double coverage from Breakfast Club. Lukenda getting involved.
That was a great attempt, but the defense was quite present on that throw. I don't know if that was intended when the thrower threw.
It's a good heads-up play on Lukenda here. Corey to pick up the disc for Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club doing that side sack.
A lot, eh?
A lot, yes. Unfortunately, that first throw out of his hands, I think he was looking at to where he was going to throw right before he caught.
He had his next pass figured out.
Yes.
Before he had that catch figured out.
Yeah.
And we're having Hogel here on the mark. And to Brown here. That was an important one. It's 7-4 Red.
Red really making use of these more creative throws that we don't see that much of outside, because in the wind those throws, they're not as predictable. But inside, a lot of hammers and scoobers, and that was a hammer catch again in the end zone. I think I'd have to go back and look, but I think majority of their points have been creative. I mean, not this typical flick or backhand throws into the end zone.
Red is doing a good job of really punching it in. If Breakfast Club is to make a mistake, Red is going to capitalize on it. So we have Ellis here with the disc to Jacques, again on an open cut. Such a reliable cutter. Ellis looking upfield, they're pretty close to their end zone, to Jacques on the open side. Jacques looking to get it back to Ellis on an up the line. Ellis, the miscommunication. A lot of times when you play 4-on-4, this is a cut that you're going to see. So someone will go up the line, and then they do what is called a 7 cut, which means that they turn directions very quickly, and they go into the break side, and so it looks like a 7.
that was a fair expectation.
Yeah. So we have Graves here trying to get open on up the line. She gets it, looking for that flick around, and Workman almost there.
That had a decent chance of success, honestly.
I agree.
Yeah.
I respect that decision. Ring to pick it up with a flick force to Polowick in the middle of the field, covered by Hayden. Ellis with the little spinny move to Ring. Ring with the big backhand around. Gets it to Jacques to Polowick. Polowick looking upfield, not much going on. Jacques on the open side in cut, gets it around to Ellis. Ellis tries to blade slash hammer, and it works to Jacques.
That is another creative throw, a hammer throw, creating a point. And one of the things we saw Breakfast Club do during that point, which we typically see really good teams do, is they were not afraid to reset and lose a little bit of yardage by sending it back to a team for a 100% probability throw.
A very senior move.
That's
knowing that you can go backfield, gaining perspective. Very senior move.
And then they made the one throw that got them the point, and so very good investment.
Brown to pick it up. We love seeing a lady pick it up here. Very strong handler out of Moncton.
No way.
I love that. I don't know if you heard here at home on the broadcast, but Brown told McKenna to get out of her way. You gotta love it. This woman plays with confidence.
So what was unexpected there is that she threw that initial sort of, centering pass in the end zone, and it's rare that we'll see someone strike all the way, a handler strike all the way to the end zone to catch it like that. And then she laid out and then succeeded at catching that. I mean, wow, that was an incredible, incredible play.
Jessie keeps wanting to try and play on our D-line, and we refuse. We keep trying to put her on the O-line, but that's the kind of athleticism that you'll see from Jessie Brown. We have Hogel here with the disc in the far side of their end zone. Dunbar with the disc looking for that hammer, and she chooses against it because she's going to get Corey right there in the end zone.
So I really like that initial play by Breakfast Club where they do a stack off to the side and then they flood, and it really opens up the field. It's always one of the plays that I enjoy because it's so sort of cheeky and it opens up the field and it's a little unexpected. And I like when things are unexpected. It just mixes it up, which is so important in 4-4 to surprise your opponent.
We have a split stack here look from Red. Oh, a little ISO. Hayden looking to come back. Get that break, looks off McKenna. She's gonna get that back. Far side of the field to Trainer. Trainer looking upfield, but she chooses for McKenna around. Darling really working hard here in the open side, and that is completed to Hayden.
That was a sort of a scuba-ish throw into the end zone that seemed like it didn't really know where it was going to end up, but it was of surgical precision.
At this point, we're going to have to start counting the points that they score with flat throws. I don't think they've done one so far. I respect it.
I respect the fact that that throw actually landed exactly where it needed to, and yet it was sort of seemed to be like a wobbly throw, but it didn't. It was exactly where it needed to be to do a contour over the defense.
Hayden showing that she's got reliable hands. Ellis here trying to get open. He gets it. Fakes that big backhand. Tries it again to Ring. Ring getting that big hammer to Polowick, and we are not in, to be discussed.
I think they're in. Yes. And one of the things that Polowick and the thrower did there that was so good is the way that they caught. So both Ring and Polowick, if you watch back the video, the way that they caught the disc was really with their both hands sort of gripping. Yes, it was a grip catch, which is so important when the disc is coming quickly and you're speeding up against it. And that's another technique that we see a little bit seldom, like less often in some teams. They'll do like the alligator catches, but the grip catch is a really good tool.
We had Red here with a box set up starting on O. We have McKenna looking for another hammer to Trainer. This combination of McKenna to Trainer
with a hammer in the end zone. Let's record that.
Literally. I hope Breakfast Club is listening into this broadcast. Guys, Trainer's scoring all their points.
with a hammer in
with
the
a
end
hammer
zone.
or a scuba.
Sounds like a Clue board game.
Exactly. Yeah. With an axe in the library.
That's right. Trainer with a hammer in the end zone. Good job, Red.
So we have Breakfast Club picking it up here, looking for Ellis. So you guys will notice that there's 3 Ellises on this team. There is a sister-brother combo, and there's a husband-wife combo. A lot of Ellises. And that's successful. Wow, that was a quick point.
That was a very quick point. So they did a bit of a horizontal stack close in, and of course there was one poach long and two players in. But what they did is they put a very fast sprinter out, and that person struck and got there faster, ran into the net. But of course they did, because that was such speed.
They're Masters players. They're not missing any time. So we have 10-8 here for Red. McKenna to pick up the disc. He's trying to get that quick right off, and it's successful.
What amazing vertical
that
for
was.
Red on that.
Back to McKenna in the middle of the field. Oh my goodness. McKenna the trainer once again.
Yes, but this time it was variety, Kim. You know, it was a flick throw this time.
It was so different.
It was so different.
Same, but different. So McKenna the trainer here, quite the combination.
Yes. Being able to get open like that in the end zone is, I mean, of course the other team knows that they're going to be looking for trainer in the end zone, and yet she keeps getting open, which is just an amazing demonstration of their ability and their athleticism.
So we have here 11-8 for Red, and we are 2 minutes away from half. And so this is an important point for Breakfast Club to try and punch it in. There's a call from Red, but the disc is going to stay with Hogel.
Ferrero Wong did an amazing layout bid here against Dunbar.
She's showing quite defensive prowess here in this game. Dunbar getting involved up the line, and she gets that hammer out to Luke Kenda. I don't know if we're going to call that in or out. Looked like she had 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
And knowing that the line is out, but it was called...
it was called not a goal.
Not a goal. Foot out.
All right, so 11-8 at halftime.
So that takes us to half. So really good demonstration of athleticism from both teams. I am really surprised to see the strength of Red, considering they're the underdog coming into this competition. 11.
It is an underdog story.
It's an underdog story. We all like the Cinderella story.
I agree. So to give a shout out to our sponsors here at halftime, we have B Ultimate, Discraft, Chocolat Favori Orléans, as well as Ottawa Tourism. Big thank yous to our sponsors.
Yes.
Making this happen.
And we're saying that it's an underdog story, but let's be fair. Red is a mix of salty and red circus players.
A lot of experience. They're not beginners.
No, they're not beginners coming off the street. Although they were a little bit more, they were aiming hopefully to get the top 4 position. That was sort of their objective,
That's
which
awesome.
It's already been met because they're in semifinals. So obviously they're already in the top 4. Whereas Breakfast Club is looking to win this tournament.
Coming in with that confidence.
So Breakfast Club needs to make up those 3 points. And I think one of the things that's going to make a difference for Breakfast Club is leveraging a little bit more variety of throws into the end zone to contour Red.
I agree. We're seeing a lot of shots here from Breakfast Club. They're trying to get those big hammers out, and Red just seems a little bit more successful on those scoobers and the hammers. The McKenna and Trainer combination, I think we've said those names 1,000 times in this broadcast. It's something that if Breakfast Club want to try and be as successful as possible, they're going to have to try and mitigate that combo. They have quite the chemistry, those two.
They do. And this is the seniors semifinals game, but a lot of these players can play Masters or Grand Masters.
100%.
Which is a testament to their physical abilities, but also to the fact that Ultimate Frisbee isn't just about being quick. It's also about the decisions that we take and the ability to put the right throw at the right time at the right person. And so
Very
that
true.
comes with experience and skill.
Yes. The wiseness of the Masters players. Not that I want to toot our own horn.
Yes.
Ooh, at halftime we have score update. Yum versus No Mo out of Alberta is 12-7 for Yum. So we're seeing a pretty convincing win on the other side of the semi-bracket. This is to make it to a spot in finals. So we're going to have Breakfast Club here starting on O. They're looking for, once again, kind of a flood stack with an ISO in the middle. We have Ellis here. He's going to try and get open.
Always enjoy these ISO moves.
We'd like to shout out the fact that apparently the Halifax team has never or has rarely ever made top 4, so this team is quite the achievement on the Nova Scotia side. So a lot of Nova Scotia pride on the broadcast. We love it.
There's really good representation from most provinces at these competitions. So from the seniors, we've got Quebec, Ontario, Newfoundland, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Nova Scotia, Manitoba, New Brunswick.
That's amazing.
It's just amazing.
And people flying into Ottawa for this tournament,
Yes.
love it. So you have Brown here looking for that upside down throw to Graves. Graves gets that backhand off. Jesse Brown trying to get open in the end zone. And it's going to get done with Workman up the line. Ring seems to have just missed that on defense for a little bit. Probably turned his head a little bit.
I think it was poaching. I think it was trying to be a little bit more useful somewhere else. But sometimes being on your person is the most useful you can be, because things go so fast in 4 against 4. And so we've got the person who struck from behind and just was able to do an up the line.
And that's
caught
the
it.
thing with 4 on 4. If you turn your head, it's probably too late.
Yes. I'm always watching for when my defense is turning their heads. That's when you strike.
Yeah, we have Dunbar here picking up the disc for Breakfast Club to Lukenda.
Again, that gripping grab.
Oh, great throw here to Hogel. Oh my goodness. We almost saw a catch there by Lukenda, and that's dropped. So we're going to start here with Nijam.
The defense is quite far, so they're doing a bit of a poachy man.
Ferrero Wong throws it back to her captain here, Turner. Turner tries to get it to Hayden. That's not successful. So Breakfast Club gets another chance to punch it in. Hogel's going to go pick it up on the close sideline.
They're doing again this ISO.
Corey, Lukenda coming back. Fakes the backhand, but gets it off anyways. We have Dunbar here looking for the flick. Gets it to Lukenda. We can see Hayden here trying to back Lukenda, meaning that she's forcing Lukenda to have to go get the disc and trying to prevent her from going to the end zone. And we have a success to Dunbar.
Dunbar jumping to make that grab, and that grab that throw could not come soon enough. I tell you, if it had been a half a second later, she would have been out. She was running full speed because Ferrero Wong was right on her tail. That was an amazing defense play by Ferrero Wong, who ended up rolling out of that. But Dunbar managed to grab, keep her feet in, and secure that point, which Breakfast Club really needed, because the score is now 12 for Red to 9 for Breakfast Club.
Yeah, if you can find a way to try and tamper down Dunbar, that is an achievement that that is done by not many people. Brown with the disc, looking for a flick. She gets the backhand around to Darling, to McKenna. McKenna gets the backhand to Trainer. Trainer looking back to McKenna. Brown getting active in the lane, getting the disc. And, ooh, McKenna turns his head, unfortunately, and just misses that backhand.
Yeah, that was a fair thought to think that McKenna would have gone to that corner. That was a very probable place to go.
I agree. Sometimes I'm tough on Brown. I call her out for her plays, and I ask her if it's the best decision she could make. But that one I agree with, Brown, so don't worry about it. Ellis with the flick to Mensah. Mensah gets the backhand around, big floaty backhand, but it's successful. We have a pick call. Brown on Ellis. She catches up. All right, we have a nice flick here to Ellis. And Ellis tries to punch it in. Just a bit off.
Yeah, that disc was just a little bit too flat, maybe with a little bit of curve, but I think she had to put a little bit more speed on it because the defense was just so present. And at the last second, when we release that throw, we know the defense is close. So sometimes we put a little bit more pepper on it and just a little bit too much.
It was a bit too flat for the speed at which he was running.
Exactly.
All right, disc to Darling. Darling looking for that hammer to Brown. Calling not in. Back to Darling, to McKenna. To Brown. To McKenna around. Mensah here far with the mark, letting McKenna kind of have the pick of the litter of the throw he wants to get off. We have Darling with a big lobby flick. OI, and that's successful to Brown.
That was a gutsy throw. Honestly, that needed surgical precision to find the target in the end zone because there was 2 Breakfast Club players just on either side of that target. And yet that was a blady outside in flick throw that reached exactly where it needed in exactly the right time. So really kudos to Red for managing these amazing offensive throws.
Yes, I agree. We have an update from the other side of the field. We can squint and see the score, but it's 17-10 for Yum against Nomo from Alberta. Yum that is also from Ontario, just like Breakfast Club. So Breakfast Club here with a nice flick up the line to Dunbar. Dunbar looking to try and get Jacques, but chooses against it. Ring scuba to Jacques. Jacques who twinkle toes it in. Greg Ellis gets it to Dunbar on a flick. Dunbar looking for that open flick and gets it to Ellis. A lot of throws coming off here from Breakfast Club. Ring looking for that hammered and Jacques, and that's successful. Another hammer score.
Another hammer score. So the score is getting a little bit tighter. So now 10 for Breakfast Club and 13 for Red. One of the things that I thought that Red did really well on this defense was that they were using the poaching very strategically, and it worked a few times for them to stop what ended up being a point, but maybe, they did stop the point from happening sooner. And poaching is such a skill because you cannot do it too often because
So
of course
agree.
you'll get punished.
Yep.
But sometimes, especially close to the end zone, it can be so strategic. And you'll see if you rewatch that point that Red managed to do it strategically and managed to delay that point from happening.
It is a skill to do it effectively for it to be an asset versus that you let open players on the end on the field.
Exactly.
So you have Darling here with the disc. He fakes a big flick, gets it to McKenna on the far sideline. McKenna throws the backhand back here to Darling. Hayden trying to work hard in the middle of the field here. Trainer just kind of standing on the other side. She gets it. The backhand back to Darling. And Hogel just seems to be standing back there, slowly catching up on the mark. Seems to be giving Darling quite a buffer. Seems like he's trying to prevent something in the end zone here, or just giving double coverage to Trainer. That's what I think he's doing. Okay.
Which would make sense because we've seen McKenna to Trainer. I mean, it's a likely scenario.
I respect that. And a break here from Darling. And that's successful here to Hayden. Backhand around.
So both teams playing extremely well. We're seeing them both do very gritty offense and some calm offense and some close defense. I mean, it's just this really weird feeling of being intense and yet calm.
Mm-hmm. I love this look by Hogel. Honestly, if you're down 14-10 and we're, a third of the way through the second half, this is the time that you want to start bringing different looks. Wow. A great throw here from Ring to Ellis. One shot, one catch.
I don't even know if the camera caught that because that went so quickly from one end to the other. But that catch was amazing because the level of concentration that was required to catch that throw that was coming in on an angle from afar with the layout D in front of you, I mean, wow.
And something that they can lead to confusion is that you see here, I don't know if you see it on the broadcast, but the white line that looks like it's the line that's out is not indeed the line of the field. And so it could get confusing when you get to the end zone thinking that you have to keep it into a really tight space when in fact you have an extra foot. McKenna gets it around to Darling. To Trainer. Trainer tries to get that backhand to Brown. And Red's calling it in, but we'll see if Jacques has anything to say. That's a no.
That was an amazing catch by Brown. I mean, she was running full speed, and it was very close to being outside the field. And
Brown will end a tournament with 1,000 layers of tape on her, but she's going to put her body on the line. I respect that.
Oh, we're seeing some amazing athleticism from Brown today.
So we have Breakfast Club on offense here. We have no one wanting to pick up the disc.
That's not a good sign, is it? Okay, here we go. We got an isolation in the middle, ISO.
Covered by Ferrero Wong, who we have seen has shown some great defensive prowess here, really tight on her players, forcing those throws. Bit of a travel here. Corey trying to get that, and he really gets there. And a big throw.
Is that Wong again? Yes,
That
Ferrero
was Wong.
Yes, Ferrero Wong laying out into the audience.
And you guys can see from the broadcast, there are people all over this field. People are really invested in the success of this game. See who gets to go to the big game. And Hogle with the poach D and bookends. Okay, Breakfast Club. I see you.
Now we're seeing Breakfast Club starting to come back. There's a bit of a momentum shift in the air. I think that there's something that Breakfast Club has said to themselves, something like, let's get this done now.
We gotta punch it in. So we started this game at 12:30. 12:30. So it goes until 1:20.
And it
so
is
we have
now
13 minutes
1:07.
left.
Yes, 13 minutes left.
This is when you need those big plays. Hogle showing that he's into it.
Oh, and it is not over. Only a 3-point difference. I've seen much more that was caught up in this amount of
McKenna
time.
starting with the disc, gets it to Hayden, his newly engaged partner. Kelsey looking for something. She gets Trainer to McKenna. McKenna looks for Hayden on the field. Back to Trainer. Trainer to McKenna. McKenna gets that around.
There's
but
a call.
I think Ellis would have called a foul, an offensive foul.
He's saying that the other player pushed off of him.
Yeah, this is something that you see sometimes on offensive fouls, is that someone tries to get open, and in order to try and juke out your player, you'll start in one direction, push off to the other, but the the person who pays the price on that change of direction is your defender.
He was suspiciously alone.
Great athleticism or foul. Darling here dancing a bit in the end zone. McKenna's really looking for that help. He gets it to Hayden here on the doorstep of the end zone. We have a home force here.
They're forcing middle. So now it's home. When it's on this side of the field, the force is away.
There you go. They're trying a little defensive scheme here. Trying a new defensive look. We have McKenna with a big... And once again, I feel like I'm quoting myself, but
Yes.
McKenna Scuba to Trainer.
McKenna Scuba to Trainer in the end zone.
16-12. Red is up.
So this was one of those points where people on the sideline are yelling home, away. People on the field are changing the force. Sometimes when the force is changing, it's confusing for everyone. It can be an advantage for the offense in that place, because then you've got a good, easy, open throw, because the defensive players are on the wrong side of their players.
And a middle force, you really try and work through the middle. It forces you as cutters to have to work it through the middle. And oftentimes people try and force it, really try and get all over the field. But if you just play with the offense that you get from the defense. So we have Dunbar here with the disc, looking for backhand, and she second guessed her decision at the last minute. Unfortunately, that's an uncompleted throw.
Pick called from Turner.
We have Brown with the disc, and we have Mensah here poaching in the open lane. Let's see if he's gonna go on Turner, or if he's gonna, and a big hammer here to Workman, and that's a break for Red.
That hammer from Turner didn't even seem like it caused him any effort.
I know, eh?
It was just like, oh yeah, let me just throw this little hammer in the end zone. You know, no, not even a worry on his face. Didn't look like it caused him any sort of physical effort. It was really easy peasy.
Yep. So 17-12 here for Red. Ellis. A low catch. Lukenda really has great hands here. Ellis tries to get that into the end zone. It's a little too far for her.
I think she could have made it had it not been for the spectators and the cement behind the end zone.
The 2-foot cement wall that was waiting for her.
Yes. I think she chose life.
She chose her kids.
Yeah.
I respect the decision.
I respect it.
So we have Red that gets another opportunity for another break. Ferrero Wong here getting open. Flick, once again, the middle force that we've seen in the last point. Same thing going on right now. Hayden with the disc in the middle of the field. Gets it to Ferrero Wong. Nijam. and he punches it in.
Red just threading the needle on that one, just being able to do what they want with that disc.
There's something to be said about being up by 6 at this point. You're closer to the end. They're showing a lot of confidence, composure, and when you get that kind of lead, you start feeling a little bit more calm. When you're up by 1, you're up by 2, you're scared to make a mistake. You don't want to be the person to cause that turn. But here we're seeing Red really just being cool, calm, collected cucumbers.
We are, and they're getting open. It's not looking like it's causing them a lot of effort. It looks effortless.
Yep. Ellis here, miscommunication with Jacques.
And that's what we're seeing too for Breakfast Club, a little bit more mistakes.
Is the friendship jeopardized?
Oh, I don't think so. Friendship goes way beyond ultimate.
So you have Ellis here on the mark. Brown with the disc in the middle of the field. Look, she wants that hammer. And she's getting a flick to Graves. Graves looking to Brown. Brown going for that upline. There's traffic in the open lane. Turner almost had that. And is that completed, or we're going to call it out of the end zone? A bit of discussion here. We're not sure if MC jumped it or Jacques jumped in, or if she had the disc. A bit of chatting. And it's going to be MC Jacques on the line. We have Ring trying to get it there. Ellis with the disc on the sideline. Gets it around to Polowick. Polowick looking for Jacques. A lot of traffic here in the lane.
Tries to jump in, but not quite in yet.
Still in the end zone line. This is somewhere I love to have one person in the end zone at this point.
And that throw was great. She ran through it. Then the disc fumbled somehow. Funny, there's 2 fumbles on this point. We have not seen many of them. You know,
That's
the first
true,
one was Turner going high, and then the disc coming back on him, but him needed to not take a second there.
It's interesting, too, how this is the first timeout that we've had the whole game.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes if you, with different style teams, when you have 1 or 2 breaks in a row, you tend to call a timeout to try and reset your team, but we haven't really seen that from Breakfast Club. It's like they're banking on the fact that we've been here before, we have that experience, let's just bring up our confidence and keep showing up.
And what's funny to me is that Red called the timeout, whereas they have the momentum of the game, and so maybe they just needed a bit of a pause. I mean,
potentially.
Or maybe they're playing the clock.
6 minutes left.
6 minutes left. It's not a crazy thing to take 60 seconds to just continue taking the lead.
Yep. There used to be a rule where you weren't allowed to call a timeout in the last 5 minutes, but that rule was taken away, and so now you could play that.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe he fumbled. Turner is the one who called the timeout, and he's the one who did the fumble. So maybe he's thinking,
reset.
I just need to reset myself.
Very true. So we see here a diagonal vert stack set up by Red. Turner to pick up the disc. Cuts coming from the front and the back. I don't know if that was intended. We heard another scream from Brown. I don't think that was what she wanted. She has a flick going open side here to Workman.
Not liking that cut.
And Workman with the big scuba to Turner. Can he keep it in? Ellis getting caught like a fish in a net.
Getting very friendly with that net over there, Ellis.
He's walking off. Ring to pick it up. Breakfast Club. They'd have a lot of work to do to make this a win, but can't put that against them. Ellis with the backhand around. Oh, MC Jacques with the big inside fake, and then all the way to the end zone. She gets it done for Breakfast Club.
I loved the footwork by Ellis in the middle of the field there when he did that first initial cut to get the first cut. The first cut's always the toughest to get because the play's a little bit static. And, of course, these players have a lot of experience. I mean, many of them, we were saying before, Ellis among them, went to Team Canada and has played like that. But if you watch the tape back, that footwork is just so amazing to get open and to psych out your defense.
An initiating cut is an art.
Yeah, it is.
Not being a cutter, I can tell you I've seen more than one in my life, and it's very much a skill that you acquire. McKenna here. Mensa. Showing up. That was sick.
I don't think McKenna anticipated that.
No, that was, and Mensa he'll be sneaky right behind you, and he's so athletic. Mensa seems to be running with a wide smile on his face. I love to see it. Proud of himself. Ellis here with the disc. Back to Mensa. Mensa gets it around. And a miscue here, unfortunately. So the disc goes back to red.
Yeah, McKenna is going to want to take that back and make up for it.
So McKenna is trying to get that big hammer off. It's not completed. Too far for Darling.
Maybe there are some signs of fatigue or some, maybe the players are a little bit more tired.
This is quite the semi. Like, if you're going to play this team, Breakfast Club, you got to work hard. And
2 mistakes in a row. We haven't seen that the entire game.
McKenna to pick up the disc here on the close line. Darling here gets it back to McKenna. Flick to Hayden. Hayden gets it back around to Darling. We saw Trainer here trying to get open in the end zone. Oh!
Another amazing D by Mensa.
Mensa putting the success of this team on his shoulders. We love it. Looking back to Mensa here. And he chooses against that. I don't know if you can hear that on the broadcast, but Mensa is hyping himself up as he is cutting.
But that created a pick, and so the play stops.
Love it. Ellis to pick up the disc. To Ellis, sisters-in-law. Ellis looking for Ellis again. Ellis looking for options down the field, and she gets a big IO to Ellis. It's been a Ellis to Ellis point.
Mensa trying a jump cut.
A lot of traffic going on, and that's in. I don't know. I don't know if it left the hands of Ellis to go into the Ellis hands, but at this point,
it was not the prettiest situation, but they punched it in, and that was a point. Mensa was really one of the things that he tried to do there, which is always funny to me, is the jump cut, right, where players jump up in the air, and then when they land, they choose which side to go, and that can be effective because the defense doesn't know which way you're going to go. But unfortunately, he was so close to other players, it just kind of created a bit of a traffic jam in front of the handler.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have under a minute left in this game, so it seems like Red is going to punch their ticket to the final. We have a big hammer here from Brown. Oh, no foul call. I was expecting that one. Dunbar here with the disc. Looking to an open Lukenda. Lukenda gets it to the middle of the field. Corey looking to get it to Dunbar, just slightly too far off her hands.
Dunbar with the amazing layout attempt catch.
Brown's going to pick it up here for Red. Gets it around to Smith, to Turner, to Graves. Steph Graves here holding it on the line. And that's game, folks. We have a Red and a Yum game in the finals.
Congratulations to Red for winning the semifinals.
That's the first time a Nova Scotia team made it to the finals.
That's amazing. Making history, Red.
We're writing history today.
Love that. So 18-14 for Red against Breakfast Club. So stay tuned because we have more matches coming up.
Yes. Big shout out to our sponsors, Be Ultimate, Discraft, Chocolat Favori Orléans, and Ottawa Tourism. We'll see you guys at the final. Thanks, Chantal.
Thank you, Kim.